Hello, it's Teacher Carrie here, and I'm back with another ManyCam tutorial. Today I want to talk with you about how layering and combining effects can really help support your students' learning in class. Of course, I teach for VIP Kid, and I usually teach in levels 1 through 6. So today I've compiled a few examples from each level to help show you different techniques that you might choose to use as you are thinking about how to present different topics or ideas to your students. But no, of course, this video has not been sponsored by anyone, so hashtag not sponsored, and let's jump into it. I'm going to take you over to the view of my computer desktop where you can see me sitting in my ManyCam operations window. And like I said, I've just compiled a few ideas from different levels to show you how combining effects might really help support your students. So let's go ahead and start with level 1. In the new interactive level 1 curriculum, we teach about the rooms of the house. So you might want to show Mike in his bedroom or Dad in the living room. And in order to do this, it's pretty simple. All I did was first find a bed, and I did this by a Google search of, I think it was a bed sticker GIF or GIF, however you like to pronounce that. And then of course I just drug it into my ManyCam. So if you're brand new to using ManyCam or brand new to using ManyCam Effects, be sure to check out my video called All About Effects. That will help you find effects and import them into your ManyCam so that you can use them. But since I already had these in my library, it was pretty simple to just combine them together to show exactly where Mike is. And for Dad here, the important thing was to put the sofa behind Dad. So what I did as I'm building my little lesson here is I just found a sofa first and then I found Dad. But let's say that I had done it in the different order. I was thinking about Dad first and Dad ended up behind the sofa. In order to fix that, if you just grab one of your little labels here, we'll grab the one for sofa. I'm going to pick it up and put it above Dad in my selected effects list here. And that will move the sofa behind Dad on my video feed. So you can just kind of play around with the order to make them the way that you want them to be. And then for me, I just hide and unhide them as I'm using them throughout class. I do always prep the night before or sometimes early the morning before I start teaching because I like to make sure that all of my effects are in the right position where I want to show them on my screen. But you can also do this live in class if you're not much of a prepper. And as we move up into level 2, we start thinking about the neighborhood. One of the vocabulary words is corner. So I just found this little street by searching for a street PNG. A PNG is a portable network graphic or an image that usually doesn't have a background. And one of the concepts we teach about is having a house on the corner or turning a corner as we walk on the street in our neighborhood. So just showing these two little effects here can make that concept a little more clear to my students. That seems to be a sticking point in a lot of my lessons. But since adding these two little effects together, my students seem to understand a little more clearly. And also in level 2, we start teaching about the weather. One of the vocabulary words or verbs really is to blow, like the wind blows. So a fun thing to do is to fill up your screen with bubbles. And in order to do this, what I did was I just searched for a Google sticker. I searched for a bubble sticker GIF on Google, and I found this one little square or rectangle probably of bubbles floating here. So in order to get more than one of those bubbles and fill up my screen, all I did was when I came over to my little search feature here and search for bubbles, you can see that I have a few different options here. So let's go ahead and do a new one. We'll use these little bubbles here. Now, when my screen is this size, oh, these are already full screen. That's okay, we'll do a new one. Let's get just the individual bubbles. When my screen is full size, sometimes my clicking is off. From my folders view here, so not from the actual video feed over here, from my folders view of my effects, if I hit the control button on my keyboard and then tap or click onto that little bubbles, I can add more than one of the same effect. So let's just do a couple here. One, two, three. Now it looks maybe like there's just one of those, but really they're just kind of stacked on top of each other. So if I just drag them apart, I can put bubbles in different parts of my screen. So I think for this, I probably put 6 of them together. And then in order to get them to come up all at the same time in the right position, what I did was come over to this little selected effects title here, and I clicked on this icon next to it. Right here it says save as preset. And if you click on that, you can give this a name. name, so I would have named it Bubbles. And then you can delete these little individual bubbles and just bring up your full Bubbles screen if you have saved it that way. So that's a really great technique to use for a lot of different things. I use it often for weather, where I can have the wind blowing across the whole screen or raining all across the screen, or maybe some snow, just adding or layering those different effects together to make it fill up the entire screen. And as we move into level 3, one of the things we teach about is birthday celebrations. So I have a little effect here that I call party time. And I use this to help celebrate students' birthdays in class at any level, but also when I'm teaching in that Let's Celebrate Me unit. So what I did here is just found this cute little party hat. This was from the ManyCam downloads. So if I come over to my little folders here, um, this little download button on the side, you can find a section for hats. And this little hat is pretty cute. It'll move around with me. Then I just added some balloons and this cute little emoji on the screen. And of course, then I just came over here again and saved them as an effects preset. Now that is different from a video preset. It's not going to show up in one of these little boxes over here. I have to first find my effects widget in ManyCam, and then for me, I just type in the little party time there and it brings up my little party time thing. And along with birthday celebrations, you might want to show a candle. One of the vocabulary words that we learn, or verbs again, is to blow out a candle. So in order to show that, of course, this little candle is pretty cute, but it doesn't really show blowing or lighting. So what I did here is I just found myself a little beeswax candle and I layer them on top of each other. This little beeswax candle is a little larger than my other candle here, and I put it over the top. So when I'm ready to blow out this little purple candle behind me, what I do is I just come over and blow on it as I'm tapping the hide and unhide button in my little effects menu over here. So again, I can show that I want to light the candle and blow it out. And my student would never know that those are actually two separate effects, especially since I build them beforehand. Again, I can do that in class, but it kind of erases some of the magic of doing it that way. And in level 4, there's one of the units is about hobbies, indoor and outdoor hobbies. And there's a particular story where it takes us through what hobbies a person does on different days of the week. And I think on one of the days she's knitting a sweater for her mom. And as my student is reading that little story, I just click on my 3 little effects that I had prepared ahead of time to show that she's knitting a sweater and who it is for. And again, I just arranged them so that mom would be behind my sweater. So if I had changed the order of that, you can see mom and you can't see my cute little sweater. So I just drag them around until I find the position that I want them to be in. And I really think that helps our students understand exactly what it is that they are reading as they're in class there. And I'll give you a few more examples. In level 5, I believe it is, there's a little story of a worm that lives in a garden. So that's pretty easy. I just found a little section of garden here by searching for a garden PNG on Google and added my little worm sticker GIF on top of it. And later in that lesson, we learned that worms loosen the soil. So I might change my little garden to some soil. And of course, I can put the worm in the soil just by dragging soil to underneath where my worm is. And again, it doesn't really matter if you can't remember which order they should be in because you can just drag them back and forth until you find the way you want them to be. So I think this is really nice because it demonstrates to the student exactly what the concept is of worms digging through the soil. And later in that same lesson, there's a little worm who is pretending that it or is imagining that it has wings and it can fly. So of course I want to give my little worm some wings. And in order to do that, I just found a little butterfly and put my worm on top of it, just resizing and positioning them so that that butterfly is mostly hidden and the student can imagine what it will look like if a worm had wings. So those are some really cute ways that you can just combine effects that way. Really, we just layer them on top of each other. And another way that you could do it is to put yourself small on the screen and have one effect sort of large on the screen. And then you can add a smaller effect so that you can move it around. So for example, with that level 1 lesson, or there's even a level 6 lesson that I'll talk to you about in a second, where we have the different rooms of the house. I just searched for a dollhouse PNG on Google. I put myself small on the screen using picture in picture mode. Of course, I have a video tutorial of how to do that. Check in the link below. And what I did here is I just added a little image of Meg. Let me move Meg in front so I can show Meg in the bathroom or the kitchen or the living room, wherever I want her to be. And in level 6, there's a lesson about a little fir tree who was kind of sad in the forest and wanted to see the world outside. So a woodcutter came, chopped down the tree, and brought it home. And at first, the little tree is happy in the house. They're in the living room celebrating Christmas. But the day after Christmas, when they didn't need the tree anymore, they moved him up to the attic and now he's all sad and alone. So I really love having this large view of the house so that I can show moving that tree up to the attic. And I can also, of course, add text to the screen to show this vocabulary word of attic. And of course, we can add different emotions. This particular concept is talking about how the character's feelings change as the story progresses. So we can add our little sad face to show he's so sad now and lonely in the attic. So those are some really cute ideas for how you can combine or layer effects in ManyCam so that your student really understands the concepts that you're teaching. This makes your teaching so much easier. I tend to use a lot less TPR if I have a lot of effects prepared ahead of time. The only thing is, of course, that you have to make sure that your computer can handle having all of these effects. And I do want to just make one more little note here because on your ManyCam, your effects might be on the bottom and your little folders view might be at the top. And if you want to switch yours so that your selected effects are up at the top, all you need to do is come to the center. You can see this little dividing line between the two sections. It's got these small little vertical lines in between in the center. And if you hover over that, it'll give you a little grabby hand. So you can pick that little grabby hand up and just change the position of them. Now my folders are up at the top and my selected effects are down at the bottom. And of course I can change them back if I want to. I usually have mine up at the top. I think they're easier to see that way. And it's really quick in class. Again, when we're talking about Mike in his bedroom, Dad in the living room, it just takes me half a second to click on those little buttons if I have already found and positioned those effects before class. I hope that helps you, and I hope you have a great day teaching. Of course, let me know if you have any questions, and I'll see y'all later. Bye.